Now that Doug is considered California cool, we're all moving to Texas.
Go from where you are now to where you could be. Get expert tips to grow your business, to be more productive and more efficient, whether you're trying to build influence, grow your community, or make it rain. Best-selling author of Nice Guys Finish First, Doug Sandler, can lead the way. The Nice Guys on Business is produced by TurnKey Podcast Productions. Now, here's your host, Doug Sandler.
All right, we are back. This is another exciting episode of not only the Nice Guys on Business podcast, but the TurnKey podcast as well. My name is Doug Sandler, and today I am visited, and you will hear a constant motion in the background here. We are literally recording live from our living room, and each one of our cats. Why did we put bells around their neck?
So I could find them and that they wouldn't catch birds.
You know, the cats walking through the house, they wake me up pretty much every day with the bells around their necks.
Sorry.
JJ, welcome to Nice Guys on Business and the TurnKey podcast.
It has been a long time since I have made an appearance on either of these shows. Thank you, Doug Sandler, for inviting me back as an esteemed guest on your podcasts.
Excited to have you here. So get set for some potential note-taking that you may want to do if you are at all listening to this podcast and you're thinking, what could I learn from these guys? Well, I'll tell you, you might not learn anything from me, but you're going to learn a lot from JJ today. I can tell you that for sure. Also, if you have any inclinations of, in the year 2020, launching a podcast, you may want to think very closely about that right now because...
and you may want to go back in time, back in the future, because it's not 2020, it's
what the hell
2022.
Did I do? 2020? I lost 2 years.
Jared's already on the phone calling you right now to tell you that it's not 2020,
did I
Doug.
say 2020?
You totally did.
Of course, I meant 1920. Of course. So if you're in the year 2022 and you have not launched a podcast yet, it may be your year to do it. And if you stay tuned for the majority of this episode, I will share with you how you can not only launch your podcast, but launch it free. That is right. What is right? 100% scholarships are being given out. But don't tell Strickland. Please don't tell Strickland.
I won't.
He'll get really mad at me if he knows.
He may listen to this, but he probably won't.
No, he probably won't. Even if he's editing this, he won't be. He won't be listening to this. Strickland, if you're listening to this, I'm not giving away the store. I promise you. All good things are for a reason. So stay tuned a little bit later on. If you are in our Nice Guy community and our TurnKey community, we'll share with you how to get your very free launch of a podcast. But you got to listen to the episode. So. All right, JJ.
Doug.
Okay, let's talk about this because you and I, as podcast coaches, and have had an opportunity to coach, how many people in the last 2 years would you say we have coached?
I have no idea. Lots of people.
Lots of people. And I can tell you that we've put probably close to 100 people through our Ultimate Podcast Launch formula in the last 2 years. And if there's one thing that that is true about people and podcasting, it's probably the same as people and business. They spend so much time in the process of building or thinking they're building the business, and they spend very little time on themselves in the process. So I wanted to bring you on because I know you're an expert with self-improvement, self-help, helping people figure out who their true selves are. So maybe from a business perspective, can you shed some light on why do people work so hard on the systems and business building techniques, and they completely negate the idea that they actually have to do some work on themselves before they get rolling with that other stuff?
Because they think if they follow a plan or a program and they just plug and play, success will be easy. I'll just do what I'm told or what I learned, and it's going to be fun and successful. And most people don't want to work on themselves because it's uncomfortable. They are afraid of looking at their demons. And not that we have demons, but we all have pains and beliefs, but people don't want to look at it because it generates emotion. And I'll say for you men, stress. And you don't like stress and emotions. So most people avoid it.
Well, what about I'll just work harder? And that will, of course, help just kind of steamroll me through all the emotional blocks that I have and get me to a point where I'm taking action. I'm action-oriented kind of guy. I can be successful without having to do some of that self-work.
You will. You will be as successful as you are able to allow in joy, love, success, and abundance. Whatever your thermometer is set at in terms of love, joy, success, and abundance, that is what you'll get. When you want more of what you're used to getting is when you're going to have to do a little bit of work.
All right, so let's take a dive into some of the blocks that hold people back, and let's see if you that are in our Nice Guy community or in our TurnKey community, if you are experiencing something similar. So people oftentimes will say that, I just got to work more on business development or lead gen, but I don't understand how to get leads coming in the door. How do I do that? And if we start with just the lead gen side of things and helping them to get through, like, how do I prospect properly? Oftentimes, again, they'll still have a block. Is there a personal block that will hurt people or hold people back from actually being able to do, good moves when it comes to business development or lead gen?
Well, it's going to be very personalized in that for me to make an assessment. I mean, generally, sometimes there are the tricks. I guess I'll just use myself as an example. I learned all about marketing and funnels and all kinds of stuff to chase money when I was a personal trainer. And I would do the things I was told to do prematurely to finding out what my zone of genius and my superpower were. So once I'm good at training and science and the science of the body. And I knew that, and I knew it, and I knew I was good at it. And I knew that I could do things some other people couldn't do because they didn't know the science and and all the sciences, or a lot of sciences. And what I mean by that is the biomechanics and physics and anatomy and, what's the word I'm looking for? Biomechanics. So there were a lot of sciences applied to what I was doing, but how to scale that and to how to fit that into the same model everyone was teaching. You can go to a class and learn the how-tos of X, Y, and Z and plug it into your business. But if your message, your zone of genius and superpower are not front and center, then the goal is to make money. But when it doesn't work, you think it's a problem with the system instead of a problem with the message. When you find and know and have confidence and can stand in the power that you are good at this one thing, selling becomes sharing. Selling becomes education. You don't have to try. You're excited to do it. You have unlimited ideas about how to package it and how to, share it with others. And now you can plug and play all the systems when you know 100%, at least today, what you're passionate about, what you're good at, what your superpower is, what your niche is, so to speak. But too often people are told to choose a niche, learn how to do a funnel, figure out how to do a marketing campaign so you can make money. But let's forget that what you're talking about may not be the right fit for you. It may not be, how many people talk about marketing? Let's talk about that for a second. There are so many coaches that talk about business coaching and development in the areas of marketing. So what makes you different? There are a million coaches. What is your zone of genius and why? Because if you think you're just going to compete in the marketplace with other people because you're educated or you have success, well, so do they. So it has to be something that is very personal, that comes from you. And again, going back to your zone of genius, your superpower, your niche, your passion and purpose in this, world, if you will.
Well, as it relates to podcasting, how do people become successful at podcasting when there is all this competition that's out there? And I've watched you do this, and I watched you do it so well. The idea of building a community. You really connect with your community, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that you're so passionate about what you do. How do you get people to understand or to find what their passion is, and then once they found their passion, how to get them to actually share their passion using, let's say, podcasting as the tool?
Well, the reason why I have the relationship that I do is because when I started my show, I was teaching things I knew, but I was also exploring things I didn't know. And I was in the public going through my own transformation. And I always am. So I think that some of the things that get people stuck is thinking that they have to be the expert before they start. and thinking they have to know all their products and all of their skill sets have to be honed and sharpened before I can put out into the world, because this idea of perfection or this idea of shame or ego or being compared to other people. And maybe that's why podcasting is such a great medium for me, is because I don't give a shit what anyone else is doing.
Well, is it a learn as you go kind of messaging, or don't you want your community to know everything, that you know your stuff before you open up that microphone and go? I mean, I personally don't feel that way, because I feel like I'm kind of learning a lot from my guests. I do an interview-based show. I know you do a lot of monologues with your show, so you definitely have a pretty strong foothold on the subject matter that you're talking about. But I feel like if I had all the answers already, then I feel like I wouldn't be curious like my community is curious.
Okay, and that's where the resilience of the average entrepreneur or podcaster doesn't exist yet, or has to be strengthened, because what holds people back is a lack of confidence that it's okay to show up not knowing everything, and that they know what they know, but they're okay with not knowing stuff, and having enough content, having enough passion around what you want to talk about stops people from doing it, because they think, well, what am I going to say? And what am I going to talk about? And I have to look a certain way or be a certain way. And here's where I just want to remind people that, podcasting, you're not going to be compared like in other areas. Like on Facebook, you can say, well, this person's doing this and this one's doing this. But in a podcast, like, it's literally faceless. People will click on your show, listen to 5 seconds, like you or not like you, resonate with you or not resonate with you, and they're moving on. So anyone that stays listening to your show most likely likes you enough, connects with you enough to be curious about what it is that you know and want to be on the journey with you. And so it becomes more personal. And I think that's probably another thing, that people treat it on like a top level business, like, oh, I have to be on all the time and perform, and I have to be the smart one, and I can't show my weaknesses, and I have to pretend like I know what I'm doing.
And we know a lot of people like that. What's
exhausting
challenging with that is exhausting. I show up every day with third grade curiosity, and it probably comes across in a lot of the episodes that I create, and I'm okay with that. I know the stuff that I'm good at, and I know the stuff that I'm just kind of like a periphery knowledger when it comes to that stuff. And
you're a professional speaker too sometimes.
I am. I'm so good. I do it very goodly.
Yes, you do.
So for me, I enjoy the process of asking questions, finding out answers, and learning and growing. And I think that when you do that as an interviewer, I think your guest appreciates your, I don't want to call it vulnerability, but your approach to you not having to go toe to toe with them on every subject that's why they come on the show. They come on the show to share their expertise. And while, yes, you should have an expertise, maybe your expertise is in interviewing, or maybe you're an expert in one specific subject matter when it comes to business, but you have people that are all around the periphery of that know much more about their subject matter. So having them on oftentimes will help put them in a great spotlight, which I think attracts you to your audience as well.
Correct me on these 3 points if you know them. I know I've heard this before, probably in another podcasting group, but I think there are only 3 reasons why anyone's going to listen to your show. You're either going to educate, entertain, or motivate and inspire.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
When you do one of them, let's say you're educating, but you're also not entertaining, you're going to lose more people, because there's only so long people want to be serious. The ones who entertain have a lot of, all the podcasts that are very entertaining get more downloads because they're fun. People don't have to think. They don't have to be taken too seriously. They don't want to work that hard. The podcasts that inspire, educate, and entertain are going to do the best. And sometimes the entertainment piece is you just being a person who, I had a show, by the time this airs, it's in the past, but Whole Brain Living. And just to give you a crazy idea for those of you that want to see a completely fun, and it may not entertain you, but it is entertaining for those who will listen to my show and connect with me. Dr. Jill Bolte-Taylor was on the show twice. She's written 2 books, My Stroke of Insight and Whole Brain Living. And I just got so excited when she was on the show the first time. and was a little squealy and just playful with her. And then she wanted to come back quickly to talk about whole brain living. So I read the book, a lot of it. And then we had this next show, and I'm literally like a 5-year-old who's screaming throughout the entire thing. I'm not really screaming, but I'm so excited.
You're giddy.
I'm giddy.
And you guys had such great chemistry on the show too, which was great.
So, this is the case of I'm being me. I'm being vulnerable. I'm being excited. I'm not caring what you think about me. And that's going to resonate for the people that it resonates for. Some people will hate it, and my audience will most likely like it because they're my audience, right? So the point is, it's not about trying to be someone who others will like. Be you and allow the people who like you naturally to show up. But remember that if you can combine 2 or 3 of those points instead of just one, so if you entertain, educate, and inspire, then you're most likely going to reach more people. And the entertain part for a lot of business coaches and business owners, and I mean, I'm a straight-laced person, and for a lot of times, I'm not as playful. I've definitely eased up over the years. I've inspired and educated, but since I've been with Doug, I have definitely loosened up in the entertainment piece because he's been on my show several times and he brings a comic relief. So, and some people didn't like that, and but it is what it is. And so now I think I have a good blend, and at the end of the day, it doesn't really fucking matter. Here's your choices. You can try to guess what people are going to like and respond to, and be that, and stress yourself out and be uncomfortable and not be yourself. Or you can just show up and be yourself and decide what you're passionate about. What do you want to talk about? And show who you are a little bit. Trust that the right people will find you. And then when you get to the next level of your business, because you will attract people, there's no doubt. Everybody has people who resonate with them. Once you attract a group of people, now you want to serve them. You want to serve them in a communicative way, in a relationship that allows you to grow your business in an authentic and sustainable way. And when you find yourself getting to that next level of success that you want to reach, the work isn't about the next trick. The work is you growing as a person. And that's where most people stop.
What do you say to the person that's a professional, a doctor, an attorney, someone that has high level credentials, advanced degrees, PhDs, and they say, well, I can't be that entertaining soul because no one's going to take me seriously in my profession. And if my podcast is about my profession, how can I be successful and be me all at the same time and be that entertaining guy?
People like fun, nice people. Even if they trust you with education, they're more likely to come back to the experience of having a good time during that educational experience. I mean, think about college or high school. Who was your favorite teacher?
Oh, the fun teacher.
The fun teacher.
That's just me, though. Of course, it's the fun teacher.
Most of us liked our fun teachers because we got to learn and we had fun. So what I'd say about that is, if you know your stuff, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, because you will, again, if you're trying to please people who are unpleasable, unless you act a certain way, then you are signing yourself up for a victim triangle dance that you're never going to get out of, and you're not going to have fun doing this. Podcasting has to be sustainable. It has to be something that you enjoy doing, enjoy the fruits of your labor. Otherwise, you'll stop. And those of us that stay in the game the longest are the ones that win.
What do you think the number one reason is why people stop podcasting?
I think they're actually not that committed to the message. I think they got into it for the business and the marketing. They expect it to do big things for them. I got into it because I needed to test my content, and I actually said up front, and those of you that have been listening for a while, you know the story, but I basically said, I can do this for 2 years for free. I had so much content that I wanted to archive so that I didn't have to speak the same thing over and over again. It was a great way for me to archive my content. And, you can use your podcast to write a book. You can use your podcast to create a course. You can use your podcast to create an audiobook. And you could do that a few times, and then you have product, and then you can just leave it sit there. Actually, I want to tell a fun story that today, and you don't even know this. So there was a podcaster that we knew who just launched her show. She has 4 episodes out, and she died. She was a client of one of our best friends. And today Michael called Lipson to tell them, Libsyn's the host, and to say, and reached out to Rob Walsh, who's one of the, I don't know if he's an owner, but anyway, he's like a big mucky muck at Libsyn. He's very approachable and he's very attentive. He wrote right back and said, I'm sorry about your loss. Let me check in. Because Michael wanted to pay for 10 years of her show, which at the dropping it down to $5 a month would have been $600. So he said, I'd like to pay the $600 to have her show continue for 10 more years. And Rob came back and said, we got it. And they're going to have her show go for 10 more years. And they didn't ask Michael for the money.
Oh my gosh.
Now, I tell you the story because when you're dedicated to what you're doing, like Rob, Libsyn, I love Libsyn. I'm with Libsyn. I'm plugging Libsyn. But this is an opportunity where they could have made a little bit of money and they didn't. And because they kept a customer happy and because they're a human being and they're dedicated to, knowing that because of that little gesture of $600, Michael will never leave Libsyn. Okay. Never.
And as a podcast coach, he will probably recommend Libsyn.
He will tell everybody not to do anything but Libsyn. And I agree with him. But at the same time, like think about that in your podcast and it's not about the podcast. It's about the information you're sharing on your podcast. Podcasting is, and if you hate talking, then you shouldn't be doing a podcast. If you don't like words, you shouldn't be doing a podcast. If you're afraid to speak in front of people and you're not willing to get over that, you shouldn't have a podcast. But if you have a message burning inside of you and something you just really want to share and explore and be in, this is the best medium to literally attract the right people, because not only once you figure out what your niche is in terms of your show, your keywords, your offers, your voice, you as a person will attract the right people who like and trust you. And there is nothing more magical in creating a business and being able to go back to your people and say, hey, what do you guys need? Well, how can I support you? And have them say, we want this. And then you create a product or program and they buy it because they told you what they needed. And it's not like a face because you're not doing video, but it's so much more like connected than email marketing or building a list or doing a funnel or creating an ad. Podcasting is special. But why people stop is because you do have to dedicate some time to it. And if you're not in for the long haul and the long game, people quit because they don't see the result they think they should have gotten.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I was gonna say that in probably 3 sentences or less and 2 box tops is that I think people quit because they don't see results so quickly. We've been doing the Nice Guys on Business podcast for February of 2022 will be 7 years. And you started your show, I think, shortly before I started. September
7th, 2014.
Right. Exactly. So you've already hit that mark. And we know just based upon our experience, it probably took us close to 200 episodes before we really saw any impact. We might have gotten downloads, but there was really no monetization.
Mine was 350.
350 episodes?
But I was also publishing 4 to 6 times a week.
Oh, gosh. So keep in mind, and I have people that will come to me literally 15 episodes in and just say, hey, look, we're not going to continue. We just haven't seen the results we were expecting.
Okay, sorry, I just had an aha about that. The aha is your ability to trust in the process and how quickly you're willing to give up. I would just look at that and how that shows up in other places in your life.
All right, talk about the self-work. Talk about the self-work that has to get done.
Well, if someone thinks after being told, because if they're a client of yours or client of mine, they've been told this, like you give it an entire year before you even start making any decisions about anything. I mean, you want to have a strategy going in, which will help you to gather information to make, judgments about, but you're not going to know because in a year's time, people have to get to know, like, and trust you. And because it's a free medium and there are millions and millions and hundreds of millions of people looking for podcasts every day, they're not going to listen to 3 episodes and call and hire you unless you are exactly at the right time in the right place for them with the need that they have, which does happen, but it isn't the norm. It's the exception. So you have to, the fact that you think 12 episodes is like putting an ad in the paper and having someone want to buy a house from you or something, buy your house. It's not, it's a short, like you have a short attention span for someone that thinks 12 episodes is going to do it. And you're not in it. I would question your dedication to whatever it is you're trying to sell or do. Because if you're only chasing money, yeah, that's not the best place to do it, because it's going to be a little while before you reap the rewards. You have to put in the work. You have to do your time to build that momentum. It doesn't happen overnight. It's like long-term investing. You don't put away money over time to be completely rich in 2 months. That's not the whole principle of long-term investing. Podcasting is long-term investing. But if you quit so soon, you are either chasing money, you have a short attention span, or you are not that dedicated to your mission or your product or your purpose.
And I'm just about to share with you, if you're in our Nice Guy community, our TurnKey community, I'm going to share with you exactly how you can get a hold of our course and our podcast launch school, 100% scholarship to you. So just hold on, because I just have one more question that I want to talk to JJ about, or ask JJ and get her answer, because I think this is a very, this is a pretty typical block that people have when they go to start a podcast. And the block is, I don't know how the podcast subject matter is actually going to fit into my business plan. How do I know how to create the right topics for my episodes, or how do I tie my podcast into my business? So what would you say to someone that is questioning how that actually all fits together?
So back to the education, entertain, and inspire. How excited and passionate and focused you are on your subject matter will impact the rate at which you attract people to your message and to your products and services. When you have a product that you created, you have to go broader as to, like, what is the subject matter? What was the pain point you had that got you even interested in this thing that you're doing? You have to take a longer term approach to creating the story and the journey, and think of podcasting as a journey. And you're still on a journey, even if you have a product or 5 products or 10 products, because we're all still living and expanding and creating. It's funny. My coach said to me on our first session, it's crazy for anyone to think that no one has business plans right now. The most that people can go out is like a year to 2 years.
Well, people have business plans, but nobody can. How can you really forecast what's going to happen in this freaking crazy world we're living in right now?
That and the rate at which we grow and change, and what we're interested in, and then of course the deliverability, whether it be a brick and mortar and what happened in 2020. So if you're looking at how do I long term, like, what do you talk about incessantly? What do you talk about all the time? What are you interested in? What do you read? What do you listen to? What do you watch? There is a through line of what is important to you in your life and a message that you want to give the world. And that's what you have to figure out before you start your podcast. And then that's the journey that you take your people on, as well as you take yourself on. Because once you're done educating them to what you know, it's time for you to learn more. And it better be in a subject you care about. And then you bring on guests to help you teach. You go read more things, you learn more things, and you share more things. And that's the relationship that keeps going. And I'm telling you, I've had people that have been listening to me for 6 and 7 years, that come to multiple events, that keep listening. Those are the people that keep buying. So if you need to be so, like, what's the word about the focus? Like,
laser focus?
Yeah, I guess.
Scatterbrained, what is it?
When you're blinded by what you think is what's the way I'm going to make money versus a long-term picture, because even today we have a client, a very famous client, who I asked to be on my show about a year ago. And since then he's been on twice, and now he's our client who's just on the Ellen DeGeneres show. And I'm looking at his business plan and I'm like, holy shit, you are leaving money on the table in every which way. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's passionate about what he's doing, but he has literally too many people who want his attention. He can't serve them all. Now that's a problem most of us don't have. But even in that situation, if you just start with, here's what I care about doing, then it will work itself out. And you will attract the people, and you will create new products and programs. He's literally in the process of creating new things so he can serve more people. And it's the same thing for you. If you have a product that you love, I promise, once you sell enough of it, you're bored. You're going to move on. You're going to make another product, because that product is going to serve people and get them the results. And then they're going to have another problem. And then they're going to come back to you and say, okay, now what? And you're going to create another product. So this is all a journey. And I think that to bottom line this whole show, the reason why people don't continue or get discouraged is because they think it's a marketing like plan. Oh, I just do this for marketing, and then it'll just be over here, in the corner helping me in my business. But as Doug and I talk about, you need to make the podcast the center of the wheel, not a spoke on the wheel. And if you do that, it will keep giving to you over and over again. You will literally create your own economy.
JJ and I have, obviously, from you hearing her speak and you knowing me through the 1,200 plus episodes, if you've been listening that long, God help you. But if you've been listening that long, thank you for being here. And for our 50 some odd episodes, I think on TurnKey, you know that we're passionate about podcasting. We're so passionate about podcasting that we want to introduce it to as many people as we possibly can. So we do have a launch school, and we are offering scholarships, 100% scholarships for those of you, but it's only for a limited period of time. The class starts on January 18th, 2022. So if you're listening to this episode and it's before that date, the time to apply is right now. Just go to turnkeypodcast.com/launch free. No hyphens, no anything, just turnkeypodcast.com/launch free. Just fill out the application. There is a refundable seat deposit that we ask for. It's just to make sure that you show up. But as soon as you launch your show, you get that seat deposit back. We have limited availability for the scholarship. So if you are hearing this and you're thinking, why would I want to start a podcast? Or I think I might want to start a podcast, but I'm not really sure how and why. And is this really for me? Now is the time. We are going to be raising our price to this launch class to $2,500 in 2022. And we're going to be offering this scholarship for just the first class in January, because we know how much of an impact that podcasting can have on you and your business. And if you are, again, thinking about doing it, now is the time. We're going to literally walk you through the startup phase, through our group coaching, 4 weeks of group training. It's once a week that we're meeting for 4 weeks. And then on the 5th week, we're actually going to launch your show. So in less than 60 days from the date that we start the class on January 18th, you will have a podcast launched to the world. And in your particular case, if you're taking advantage of the scholarship, you're going to be doing it and doing it free. So I don't know how much, you always tell me you got to sell free, right?
Well, yeah. Well, I think at this point, if people aren't taking advantage of this, then it's not a match. But you do.
That's right.
I think this whole episode we've been selling podcasting, and then again, for those who it's right for, if you're not taking a free class, then stop now, because he's offering you this amazing class and launching a podcast for free. It's a no-brainer.
So turnkeypodcast.com/launch free. We are going to be bringing the next several episodes to you through both Nice Guys on Business and the Turnkey Podcast. I really dig this podcasting space. It has changed my life in the last 7 years, and all to the better. Everything that we do now in our business relates to podcasting. We have a podcast production company. We have a launch company. We have a podcast coaching. I mean, it is all related to the world of podcasting, because I see the writing on the wall. I mean, I've been seeing it for the last 7 years since we launched our show. My DJ business that I started back in 1992, full-time from 97 until just the last couple of years, COVID really woke me up. I mean, it really made me see that I got to figure out what's another plan, because I'm not going to be left flat-footed the way a lot of my buddies were left in the live events business. So podcasting at that point became a full-time venture. And in the last 2 years, it has absolutely exploded. We want you a part of the wave. turnkeypodcast.com/launch free. JJ, thank you so much for being on the show. And I'm excited to see what 2022 has in store for us when it comes to podcasting, our personal relationship, our self-growth, and all the other fun stuff that it has to offer.
Thanks, honey.
Okay, everybody. Talk to you soon. Thanks again for being here. Tuning in again. Wow. I'll remember how to podcast and talk any day now. Tune in again next week. We'll have another great guest when it comes to podcasting. Thank you for being here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Seriously, it'll only hurt for a minute. Or two. 10 tops.